sales with Google Shopping. My name is Kieran. I direct the business development here at GoDataFeed. Joining me today is Greg Yavich. Hi, Greg.
How you doing, Kieran?
Greg runs an agency, Operation ROI, that has worked closely with GoDataFeed for many years, and he's an expert on all things Google. Before we jump in, I just wanted to touch on the agenda briefly. We'll start off with a brief overview of GoDataFeed and Operation ROI for those folks who are not familiar with us. I'll then start with an overview of Google Shopping campaigns, followed by the importance of data quality, at which point I'll hand over to Greg, who will talk to us about campaign structure and some proven bidding strategies. Time permitting, we will address any questions, and for those we don't get to, we'll follow up individually. So please post your questions now, and we will take care of them towards the end. Also, we will have a recording of the webinar available next week. Okay, so for those of you unfamiliar with GoDataFeed, GoDataFeed, we're a self-service software based in South Florida, focused on the syndication, optimization, and measurement of product feeds to over 100 shopping destinations. That includes marketplaces, comparison shopping engines, and affiliate networks. We work with retailers, brands, agencies. We support over 2,000 clients. That accounts for over 10 million products being syndicated on a daily basis. And you can see that all in the slideshow here. So basically our process is we import your product data, which is a single point of contact. In our system, we have a robust tool set that allows you to modify any attribute. You can create filters, custom rules, and really optimize your product data to be more compliant with the channels and obviously to optimize them for better results.
Thank you, Kieran. Operation ROI is a full-service, multi-channel e-commerce marketing agency also located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Our core services are shopping feed management, search engine marketing, affiliate program management, and e-commerce consulting. We were officially founded in 2010. However, we were an in-house marketing department for an e-com site that started in 1995. We're very ROI-based. We're a boutique agency with the goal of meeting and exceeding our client expectations. One of the main reasons we're here today is to speak and discuss about Google Shopping campaigns. Google Shopping campaigns have changed the landscape of managing product listing ads and AdWords. By allowing the merchant the ability to segment products as you would your e-commerce platform or retail store, Google Shopping has also become a lot more retail-centric. So what does this mean for the merchant? Well, it's the ability to browse product inventory in AdWords. And for those of you who may not have the opportunity to set up Google Shopping campaigns, you can actually see the product names, which is huge. Creating of groups like product groups called product groups also gives you a lot more control over organizing and bidding within AdWords. Even the ability to promote products is available by using product priority, which you can set campaigns to low, medium, or high priority. Also, you have advanced reporting. Advanced reporting now allows you to segment and analyze your product data down to the item product level. You can also see product attributes and various other attributes such as days of the week, geographic data, and even free clicks. And yes, there are still some free clicks available out there. As far as competitive data, Google even helps you with your campaigns there as well. You can now get benchmark data for items such as click-through rates, cost per click, and even impression share. And for those of you who are familiar with the bid simulator, it now works within Google Shopping campaigns as well. So all in all, Google Shopping campaigns has some great tools for managing your product listing ads and AdWords. Google is growing. Google's growth has changed the playing field for merchants as well as many of the CSEs and dedicated shopping websites. 100 billion searches every month and over 1 billion products are on Google Shopping. 15% of new searches daily, and as well as 200% increase in Google Shopping traffic, shopping clicks. And this growth is not just here in the U.S., but with the global reach, Google Shopping campaigns are now available in 23 countries globally. One of the amazing things that when we first started migrating clients was the ability to segment product groups and then drill down to the product level data. We saw instant increases in impressions, in traffic, and conversions. The ability to see product level data allowed us to reduce overall CPC rates and therefore reduce our overall spend, increasing ROI. The good news is these results weren't temporary. The trends in performance over the past 6 months and year-over-year continue for our clients. The client data shown here is 2 of the first clients we migrated almost a year ago, and the data speaks for itself. As you can see under Easton Press and DCG initially, the first month, the increase in traffic, conversions, and revenue and ROI were all up. And the data below shows that continued year over year and the past 6 months.
Thanks, Greg. Well, now that we see the opportunity, how do we best take advantage and launch a solid optimized campaign? Since Google shopping campaigns do not use keywords, all the attributes within the feed are considered for relevance. Your merchant-centered product feed contains the information that enables Google to determine when your product listing ads are eligible to show. Your differentiation is in your feed, not your bids. This is not to say you also need to have a competitive bid. Another important factor with the change to Google Shopping campaigns is the product attributes are also used to determine the product groups. So if these attributes are incomplete or not up to date, it could affect your product groupings in AdWords. Keep your data fresh. The key determining factor of how PLAs are served are excellent data quality, up-to-date pricing, and accurate product categorization. Keep your data feeds fresh. We advise our clients to submit at least once every 24-hour cycle to account for any changes to pricing or availability. And many of our clients actually submit multiple times a day to account for attribute changes, especially if they're running on thin inventory levels and changing prices consistently. You also wouldn't want to incur any click costs for products that are out of stock. Complete data. Provide complete high-quality data. The more information you submit to Merchant Center, the better your quality. However, if you have attributes that do not comply with Google's requirements, policies, or guidelines, this could have a negative effect on your campaigns in the long run. Key data feed attributes. As I mentioned, the more data you provide, the better Google can serve your product listing ads. However, there are 3 main attributes that are indexed, and if optimized, can gain you the competitive advantage in highly competitive keywords. The unique product identifier is the most important attribute, since it gives Google a way to commoditize products. This includes global trade item numbers, also known as GTINs, and those include values like UPCs, EANs for Europe, JANs for Japan, and ISBN for books. These requirements differ for product categories, as we can see in this slide here. For media and software, you would need a GTIN, which includes either a UPC, an EAN, or a JAN. Books require an ISBN number. Apparel is split into 2 categories. The first one is shoes, sunglasses, handbags, and watches. These would require a brand plus either the GTIN or an MPN. The MPN is a manufacturer part number, and the GTIN could consist of a UPC, which is a universal product code. All other apparel just require a brand. All other categories require at least 2 of the following, either a GTIN or MPN plus brand. There are exceptions. For non-existing UPI products, you would need to submit a false a false attribute in the identifier exists field in the feed. Google product categories. The second most important attribute is the Google product category. This is the Google taxonomy structure that contains over 6,000 categories. This is only required for specific categories and recommended for all others. The best practice is to map your product categories to Google's and submit them both in the product feed. The product type is the merchant-defined categories, and we do recommend using this if you have your own categorization structure. It can include more than one value, and make sure to include a full string. The third most important attribute is the title field. This is indexed by Google, and the keywords and keyword phrases used in the title should best describe the physical item and should be user-friendly, accurate, and informative. If your product has color and size, be sure to add them into the title. This greatly improves the click-through rate, since consumers know your product is a good match for their queries. One of the practices that we see for titles is to use brand, gender, product, color, and size. As we can see the example here, we have the Coleman 54-quart steel-belted cooler, the color is silver. Google started enforcing the character limits for title. The maximum amount of characters is 150. However, only between 25 and 70 characters may be displayed depending on the context. If your titles exceed the 150 character limit, they will reject your listing. What we at GoDaddy do is truncate the content at the character limit. This ensures products still get listed. However, it's still not the best practice. We highly recommend modifying your titles or at least front-loading important information. Key data feed attributes. Price and sales price. If your product's on sale, be sure to populate the sale price field and the price field. Tax and shipping is one of those attributes that we see clients having issues with. These can be submitted in the feed on a product level, or you can set them up in your Merchant Center account. Mobile links. Mobile links is a relatively new attribute Google added into the feed. I saw a recent survey where 13% of total online sales and 1 in 3 holiday shopping queries were made on mobile. 58% of consumers use their mobile phones while shopping in store. So this really presents another great opportunity to showcase your products on mobile PLAs if your site is mobile optimized. Availability. There are 3 accepted values: pre-order, in-stock, and out-of-stock. In GoDadtaFeed, we advise clients to create a filter that sets availability to out-of-stock where quantity is 0. This prevents those products from being submitted, and hence you won't incur click costs for products that are out of stock. Product variations. If your products have variants, be sure to submit them in your data feed, and keep in mind you must match the image with the product variant. If you're selling a blue t-shirt, that should be the image consumers see on the PLA and the landing page. Custom labels. Google defines custom labels as a new structured way to tag your products in your data feed with attributes that matter to you, such as margin, to separate your high and low margin products. Custom labels were designed mainly for abstract product groupings. And there's a limit of 5 custom labels, so before you decide which makes the most sense for your products, you should define your bidding strategy and then create the custom labels. Product groups in Google can be defined by Google product categories, product type, brand, condition, item ID, and custom labels. In these screenshots from the GoDadtaFeed portal, we can see that in our Google feed, we have that attribute already loaded up, so we have custom label 0. If you do have the data in your product file, we can map that out. Most merchants won't have that, so what we can do in our system is to create a custom rule, and we can actually create those custom labels in the system. So here's an example. We've set custom label 0 to a price level of between $100 and $200, and we've created a condition where price is greater than 99 and price is less than 201. What this does then is defines all those products that are in that threshold to price level 100 to 200. We also encourage clients to add performance and cost data to the product file. This allows you to create these custom labels based on performance and cost data. And if that's being updated on a daily basis, it'll automatically update your product groups in AdWords. Images are the best way to describe your products to a consumer. This is another attribute we see underutilized and presents a real great opportunity for optimizing your feed. Image is a required field and should adhere to Google's requirements. You can see these in the feed. Submit large, high-resolution full images up to 4 megabytes, 800 pixels in height and width. Use solid white, gray, or light gray backgrounds. Don't use placeholders, no watermarks or logos. Consider different product angles. You can see the image here on the right. We can see there's multiple angles for this image. Oh, excuse me. Multiple images from different angles. This makes a huge difference to consumers. Apparel and accessory products must present images that correspond to the different variation colors.
Thank you, Kieran. As you just learned, there's a lot of attributes that are needed to really make your feed robust, and GoDadtaFeed is a great tool to use and leverage to do that. As mentioned earlier, product groups are the root of segmenting and managing your Google Shopping campaigns. It's best to really spend time planning out the structure of your campaigns prior to building them out. How you build out these campaigns is really going to set the tone of how your campaigns are going to move forward. So a practical way to start you set up your initial campaigns is to mirror the category structure of your online store. It's a simple way to accomplish this is to use the categories provided by Google. If you wish to get a little more detailed, you can also use the attributes from your feed to build out your campaign. These attributes include brand, item ID, condition, and product type. Google also allows 5 additional fields in your feed to assign custom values. These are called custom labels. As Kieran also mentioned earlier, custom labels allow you to further target and subdivide your product groups by using additional values from your feed. Examples of custom labels will vary greatly depending on what attributes you already have in your feed and what you need to segment further. Some common examples may include gender, age group, clearance items, top performing products, or even seasonal products. If you want to use custom labels for bidding, that can be done as well. This is one of those areas where GoData Feeds platforms really shine, as their custom fields ability makes it really easy to set up or write custom rules for writing custom labels. As mentioned in the previous slide, it's important to think about how you're going to segment your products not only for organization, but for bidding. So now we're going to discuss the 5 bidding strategies that you can leverage in your Google Shopping campaigns. First, you want to review the historical data to determine the appropriate bids for the structure of your new campaigns. Over the next 5 slides, we're going to see how segmenting your products for organization is great, but the ability to use those product groups for bidding gives you even more control over your ROI. Category and brand bidding is the first one. One of the most common practices when starting out with working with product groups is segmenting by category or brand. Segmenting by brand is a great place to start if you've never used Google Shopping campaigns. Brand is an attribute that's already in the Google feed, and it's available within the product group selections. Google also provides basic categories that are available for segmentation. The downside, though, if you use Google's categories, is that the reporting in Google Analytics is difficult to understand because Google actually passes numerical values and not the category names. So if you can use your own attributes, it's much easier to do the reporting in Google Analytics. No matter which direction you choose for your products, you can always segment further within each product group. For example, an apparel merchant decided to have their top level be a brand. When we drilled down to the product level in every product group, the initial bidding strategy was to bid higher on the brands that we knew were popular and sold well, and bid less on the brands that historically were underperforming. Performance-based bidding is also a very common strategy for working with Google Shopping campaigns. Obviously, the key to performance-based bidding is data, so this strategy may not be available if you don't have historical data or if you're new to Google Shopping campaigns. One of the nifty features about the new Google Shopping campaigns is campaign priority settings, which allow you to have multiple campaigns advertising the same products. By default, the priority setting for Google Shopping campaigns is low. But if you promote or assign products a promotion, you can assign medium or high priority to certain campaigns. For the example to the right, for example, all the main categories are set to medium priority. The top performing group is set to high priority, which focuses on products that continually sold well and had a solid ROI. The poor performers group was set to low priority and contained every product that was ever removed from the other campaigns. However, the bids were set extremely low. And this allows you to keep a solid ROI for products that don't sell well. Price point bidding is another strategy. What do you do when your products vary greatly in price? A lot of times clients have $10 products, $100 products, $2,000 products. So how do you maintain your bidding to manage this range of price points? It's simple, by price point. You want to create bidding groups for your products. Unfortunately, Google doesn't provide any way to segment by price. This, again, is another area where you can take advantage of custom labels and break your products out into price buckets that make sense for your products, and you can pull that information from your data feed. For example, the graphic to the right shows a jewelry website that we chose to segment into price buckets and then bid accordingly. There are lower end products, the $30 to $99 buckets, we set the CPC rates at 99 cents, at 90 cents actually, and the $5,000 and up group, we had CPC rates set at over $8. This bidding strategy allowed us to maintain the necessary ROI goals set forth within the client, still dealing with products that range great within prices. So how do you manage products that have a huge range or spread in margins? The strategy is almost identical to bidding by price, but the ad groups or product groups need to be based on margin percentage and not price. The challenge with this method is that you need to know the margins for every product or the product categories that you offer. Now, this type of data isn't typically submitted in a feed, but if you have it available, GoDataFeed's platform allows you to merge your margin data to your feed. Now, what's the advantage of doing this? Well, you can now bid strategically based on margins. So your low margins, you can bid low. Your high margin groups, you can bid higher. We have a client, for example, who has margin range from 10 to 70%, and we set up the ad groups based on his margin. So we had a 10 to 20 group, a 20 to 30 group, and so on, so we could bid accordingly to his margins to make sure that the ROI was solid in every category. The last of the bidding strategies is seasonality bidding, and this is commonly overlooked. One of the main reasons it's commonly overlooked is one misconception is that my products aren't seasonal, and chances are it's not the case. And it's really important to understand products and their selling season. You may have certain segments of products that sell well in the spring and fall or the winter and summer, but you need to understand these because you can build campaigns around seasonality to leverage products A, during their high season, and B, during their low season. For example, a sporting goods store may want to focus on winter gear and ski gear during the winter and fall months, or fall and winter months, but during the summer months they're going to want to focus on the appropriate apparel. Another reason to segment in this manner is to show products during their off season. For example, we have a winter apparel merchant who sells winter and ski goods, and instead of turning off all his products in the summer, we bid them lower, and he still gets a handful of sales from his clients who want to ski in the southern hemisphere, and he can do clearance promotions and gets huge ROI. So understanding seasonality is an important aspect of bidding that you need to incorporate with also margin and price point bidding. It's an add-on in bidding, but something that should be looked at. Again, you need to know your historical data. You need to know your products pretty well, but something to look into in your bidding strategy. In summary, for bidding and categorization, before you launch, it's really important to understand your products and think about how best to categorize for bidding. The whole advantage of Google Shopping is the ability to slice your data any way you want and down to the product level and bid how you want. So before you set up your campaigns, really look and think about what's the best way not only to segment, but to bid on my segmented products. Review your historical analytics, look at the structure of your feed, and whatever you do, don't forget to take advantage of custom labels and GoDataFeed, which will give you the ability to add segmentation to your own feed. Custom labels are a huge key and paramount to the whole bidding process. Use them, leverage them. When you leverage them properly, you will be able to use that data in your Google Analytics or AdWords to further segment, really drill down on what's working and what's not working.
Fantastic, Greg. We've got some time. We've got a lot of questions coming in. Greg, I've got one for you.
Okay.
Shoot. Can you get insight into competitive bidding?
Yes. Competitive bidding it's challenging, but Google does give you some good benchmark data. Don't take the benchmark data, don't mirror it exactly. It's a guideline of where to start and where to look. When you set up your Google Shopping campaigns, you will initially see no benchmark data. So you really start to need to get some clicks and some impressions come in, but once the traffic starts to build up, you will see impression share, click-through rate share, and CPC. Don't use the CPC rate. Go under it. Look at the impressions of your products versus the impression share. See if certain products should be bid down or bid up. The goal is once you segment, is to break out your products and really see what's working and what's not working and remove what's not working. So use that data to your advantage.
That's a great answer. And just to add to that, somebody also asked here, did you say campaigns do not use keywords? Yes, that's true. In shopping campaigns, you don't assign keywords. This is like mentioned, where Google takes a look at your data feed and determines accordingly when to list your product. So there aren't keywords that you bid for in the actual campaign. However, there are keywords in your titles and descriptions that get indexed by Google. So what you want to do is take a look at your impression share, and you want to modify those titles and descriptions, use keywords, and you can also pull search query reports from AdWords that will give you some insight into what people are looking for, and also to set negative keywords. You can actually set negative keywords on the shopping campaigns.
Absolutely, that's a great point, Kieran. The negative keywords are huge, because you're going to find that you're getting a lot of traffic from keywords and keyword searches and queries that aren't necessarily germane to your products. So what you want to do is pull down that search query report on a regular basis and go through it and see what's being searched. What you may also find, besides things the negative, are keywords that are being searched that you might not be including in your titles or descriptions. For example, we had a shoe client who was selling boots, and he wasn't describing he wasn't putting the word boot in all of his products. And the products that didn't have the word boot in it weren't showing. And it was a simple thing to fix, but you need to look at that search query report, cut out the negatives, and look at what other keywords are being searched to include those in your titles and descriptions, as Kieran mentioned.
Perfect. Here's another one for you, Greg. Can multiple custom labels be used in a shopping campaign?
Can multiple custom labels be used in a shopping campaign? Absolutely. However you segment your products or decide to segment your products, you can cut them and slice them and dice them down in as many ways as you want. When you start segmenting in Google Shopping campaigns, you can segment if you start by brand and then go to a category, or you could start a category and then go to brand and then down to product. Whatever the attributes are, you can slice and dice in different ways. And the beauty about that is you can have a single product in multiple categories to see where it's performing better or not performing better, and leverage the campaign priorities if you're going to do that, because you can put your top performers and get them viewed prior to your normal products. I hope that answered your question.
Here's one I'll take on. I'm not clear how these new Google Shopping ads affect product listing ads. Do they work together, or are these new ads replacing the PLAs? Where do these ads appear? The PLA is the actual ad that you see on Google Shopping. So when you search for a product, whatever comes up, that's the actual PLA itself. The PLA is driven by the shopping campaign. So the ads per se are the same. What drives the ads has changed. The way that you structure those campaigns in AdWords, where you bid for the product. The product data is coming from Merchant Center, which it always has been. So I think the discrepancy there is that people used to refer to PLA campaigns as opposed to shopping campaigns. A PLA, a product listing ad, is still the actual ad unit that you see on Google Shopping.
Still the same beast. It's just the management of it is just much more refined now within AdWords. You can, again, the beauty of it is being able to drill down and segment your products. In the old PLAs, you used to have to use targets, and you really couldn't drill down the way you can now in product listing ads, in the shopping campaigns, excuse me.
Perfect. Here's an interesting one. Can we add our product cost into GoData Feed? We like to be, 1 second.
Oh, it jumped.
Yep, it jumped. Can we add our product cost into GoData Feed? We like to be able to see our profit after advertising costs. Does GoData Feed have any reports related to this? Thank you. GoData Feed is, we're certainly looking at Google Shopping as a primary channel, and we certainly will be adding functionality to that moving ahead. There's a couple of ways to approach that. The first one is if you can supplement performance data into the feed that we intake from your e-commerce platform, we can then set rules accordingly. So for example, if we see the margins or if we see the cost data, we can actually create custom labels based on thresholds. Now, every day we update those products, or those numbers are changing, automatically it's going to regroup your products in AdWords. So for example, if you had a high-performing margin product, which is performing well, and suddenly maybe the costs go up and becomes a low-performing margin, we can actually set those thresholds in the feed, and it'll change groups automatically. The other way to do that is to use GoData Feed's proprietary analytics. So, we can put a piece of script on your product page, on your checkout page, and from that point onwards, we can actually determine what your clicks, conversions, and revenue are on a channel basis. So, for example, Google Shopping. Based on that data, then you can decide how to best optimize those ad groups and bids.
I just got a good question that came in here, Karen.
All right.
This person wrote, I seem to get a lot of customers bouncing off my shopping campaigns. Any ideas? I have great success on pay-per-click, but so far not on the shopping campaigns. It's a great question, and I would look at your data down to the product level in your shopping campaigns if you have it sliced and diced, or down to your category levels, and look at not only the click-through, but look at the impression share. If you have a certain category or certain grouping that's getting a lot of impressions or a lot of clicks and a high bounce rate, you may want to trim the bidding on that product or category or subset to have the traffic driven to other products or categories where the bounce rate is lower. But play with the bidding and the bidding groups. You should hopefully see your bounce rate change and have some more success.
Okay, here's a good one. Can GoDataFeed limit our longer titles and descriptions automatically so the product does not get rejected by Google Shopping? Or do we have to manually change our titles and limit our descriptions? That's a great question. Recently, Google came out saying that they're going to enforce their character limits more stringently. So, you know, if it's 150 characters for title and say 5,000 for description, using GoDataFeed in our feed, we automatically truncate at the product limit. So if you've got a 10,000 character description, we're going to truncate it at 5,000 limit and submit that to Google. So we'll ensure that the products stay on Google, but keep in mind it's not optimized. Really, the best practice is to create unique descriptions and titles that fit that character limit. The other thing to mention here is that, you know, for title, for example, there's a 150 character limit. But Google certainly recommends between 25 and 70 characters. And if you take a look at the PLAs, you'll notice that a lot of PLAs don't actually reach up to 70 characters. That's also the reason why we recommend that you so to speak, front load the keyword. So essentially, Google's going to look to the left of the title first and foremost to make sure that those relevant keywords are there. If it gets truncated, and the other side of that is that obviously the shoppers are not going to see those relevant keywords. So again, we certainly will truncate and we will keep your products up on Google Shopping, but certainly you want to optimize them for better results.
I got another good one here. If we already have manually created, edited, and curated a PLA feed that could be improved, are we better off starting over using a feed generated from BigCommerce? This is actually a question that I get posed a couple times a week. We've created a feed, we're sending it directly from our e-commerce platform. Why should we use a tool like GoDataFeed, or why should we use a managed service? And the reason why I would suggest it is when you put your titles and descriptions into your e-commerce platform, a lot of people just copy, paste from a manufacturer, other websites. There's not a lot of thought as to how those titles are going to display and how those descriptions are going to display in the shopping platforms. What we can do, what GoDataFeed can do, and what I'd recommend is using a third party when you're sending to the shopping channels, because we can optimize those titles and descriptions by merging data together in your feed. So we can take, if your titles on your website, for example, don't typically have color and sizes, those are options. So when you're breaking out your titles or descriptions, we want to amend those sizes, those colors, certain gender roles, whatever those key attributes are to the titles and to the descriptions. So sending from an e-commerce platform like BigCommerce or Volusion or whatever you use straight to the CSEs is convenient, but you're really missing out on the opportunity to optimize your feed.
Great answer. Here's one. Is there a difference between Google Shopping category and product type?
Big difference.
Yes, and again, that was one of the 3 top attributes that Google indexes is Google product category. Google product category is Google's taxonomy. Google's got 6,000 plus categories that you would need to map your internal category, which is typically called product type. So Google will accept both. They will accept product type, which is your internal category, which I don't have any specific recommendations or requirements. But certainly it can help the indexing and help Google better understand what that product is. But the best thing to do is to really map that to Google Shopping category, being that that's their taxonomy, then they know exactly what your product is. And that should increase your impressions and click-through rates.
I've got another question here. It's kind of a simple question, but somebody who just doesn't quite understand it, which is fine. This is why we're all here today. If we add custom labels in the GoDataFeed feed to Google Shopping, will the label be visible in Google AdWords? I assume that's how you set different bids on the lower and higher items. Yes. When you're setting up your product groups within Google Shopping campaigns, there's a drop-down, and then you can segment your products. When you hit the little, it's actually a little pencil, and it shows you the drop-down, you will be able to pull brand, product type, condition, ID, and all the custom labels from your feed and see them in AdWords so you can segment. I hope that answers your question. Another one is, does optimization for shopping campaigns help or hurt organic results? They're completely different. Organic is organic and this is paid. It's really a different entity. One of the tie-ins, however, from organic is if you set up your feed properly, some of your attributes from your feed can actually show up in your organic results, and that would be your stock status and your price. So actually optimizing your feed and getting your feed set up properly actually can help your organic results. Another question just came in was what Operation ROI does and what GoDataFeed does exactly. So we're just going to touch on that real quick for anybody that signed on late and missed the intro. Kieran, you want to just go brief summary of what GoDataFeed does again?
Sure. So at GoDataFeed, we're a software company. We're a self-service software, and we manage and specialize in the syndication of your product data to the variety of channels that we support. Google Shopping being one of them. We support probably 100+ channels that includes marketplaces such as Amazon, Newegg, eBay, and so forth, and comparison shopping engines and affiliate networks. So essentially what we do is we import your product catalog into our system, and at that point we can configure the files for the specific channels, giving you full control over the attributes. So for example, if you didn't have, let's say in your title you didn't have a color or size and you were selling apparel, we can automatically change that for you so that it's compliant and optimized for Google in this case. We support 100+ channels, so we've got a robust tool set that allows you to manipulate any attributes. The other thing we do is we actually measure the performance. So if you've got multiple campaigns running on CSEs, let's say for example using Shopzilla, PriceGrabber, Google Shopping, Amazon product ads, we can actually bring in the results from those campaigns, so it helps you, first and foremost, better manage your ad spend. You can see which products are working on which channels, and you can adapt your ad spend accordingly.
Operation ROI, we're a full-service advertising, marketing, e-commerce marketing company in Fort Lauderdale. Our core services are shopping feed management, affiliate program management, paid search, and e-commerce consulting. We are a partner of GoDataFeed, and we not only manage our own clients, but manage many of their clients who need help. I think we're going to go back to some questions here. I just got a funny one in. I have 3 Google AdWords consultants try to help me out for the last 4 months, and I've completely bombed and don't get it. Karen and I are both laughing because we both hear that on a regular basis. Whomever you are, email contact@GoDataFeed or account services Operation ROI, and we will definitely try to help you out because you shouldn't be bombing for 4 months on Google Shopping. And we got some bunch of questions coming in here, so Kieran's going to read off another one. They're coming in fast.
I currently use GoDataFeed for my Google Shopping feed and PLAs. I would edit, update the feed to take advantage of the new structure. We'll start over with the feed. No, if you're already importing to into GoDataFeed, we can certainly re-optimize that feed and go in and change some settings. You wouldn't need to reset up the entire feed. Another question I see here is that I'm importing to GoDataFeed from an e-commerce platform called BigCommerce. I have custom attributes. Would I need to reset up my PLA campaigns? Again, the same answer here is that we can certainly add those custom attributes, bring them in, and then we can use them in the mapping of the actual Google feed.
Got a question that just came in. Is it better to fine-grain down your individual products to the product level? Or is it better to follow the categorization or seasonality and other aspects of the website? That really depends on your products, how many products you have, and how many you want to manage your products. If your website has 500,000 products, you're probably not going to want to break out every product. If your website has under 10,000 products, I would say, yeah, break them all out. Google's giving you the ability to see down to the product level, take advantage. Now, if you find that you have 10,000, 5,000 products and it's too much to manage, look at your categories that you know convert well. Just break out those categories to the product level and do category bidding on the categories that don't have as much traffic or lower ROI or whatever it is. But definitely look at breaking products down to the product level if you have the ability to, because you will be able to tweak the bidding on products that have high impressions or high clicks but with an overall goal of improving your campaigns. We have some more questions coming in there.
Will Operation ROI handle Google Shopping and our AdWords as well, or just the shopping part?
Not Operation ROI is full service. We'll handle Google pay-per-click shopping campaigns. We'll also manage Bing, Bing Shopping, which is called Bing Product Ads, which is more like Google's old PLAs. Anything to do with e-commerce we kind of manage and will handle. Which one? Here we go. In regards to custom labels, are you allowed to use more than 1,000 values for custom labels? Are they labeled differently, or is 1,000 labels, or is it 1,000 per label regardless? I have to double check. When Google Shopping campaigns came out, it was initially 1,000 values for custom labels was the limit. However, we had a client a couple weeks ago who had more than 1,000 and had no issues. 1,000 is probably a good guideline to stick with. You can try it. I'm sorry to say I don't have an exact answer on that one. Karen, do you have the?
I do not.
No, okay. Will products be rejected if the product description exceeds 5,000 characters? I believe GoDataFeed will automatically truncate at 5,000 characters, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that answers that one.
Is there a way to break down the products or product level by using the name, not the product ID?
Can you repeat that question?
Is there a way to break down the product to a product level by using the name, not the product ID?
I understand what you're saying. No, and I wish they could. What you can do is create custom labels and name those. Again, it depends on how many products you have. But you can create custom labels and put them into groups where you can see the names. But if you have, a real large amount of products, there is no way to get around that. It's kind of frustrating. I agree with whoever wrote that question. What do we do for products we drop ship and do not stock ourselves? I'm not quite sure what you mean as far as how to manage that, but
well, I mean, if you're drop shipping products, I mean, if you have a website and a landing page that a shopper can check out at, you can certainly submit to Google Shopping. You would just need to be very aware of your shipping times and inventory levels. If you don't have a website, then certainly you couldn't sell on Google Shopping. You could sell on marketplaces.
Here's a good one. Is there a best practice for products with a parent-child relationship? But two of the colors outsell the others 20 to 1. How do I segment and bid competitively for the best-selling colors? Again, here's a good example of if you have those products, you can segment those products down using custom labels to segment them out. And if you have the label broken out into its own category, you can then break those products down to the item level. And then if you know that two of the colors outsell the other 20, bid higher on those two colors and reduce the bid rates on the colors that don't sell well. But again, if you're not comfortable with breaking out all of your products down to the item level, do it for the products that you know that sell best or the categories you sell best.
Does performance with Google Shopping have any bearing on my AdWords performance or spend? Well, I'm guessing they're using
it. Yes. I mean, your overall spend obviously is in AdWords, so you are managing the shopping campaigns in AdWords. What?
I guess the question is, does it have any relevance to the text ads or the extension ads
No.
as opposed to shopping campaigns?
They're two separate entities. So product listing ads have separated themselves from traditional pay-per-click. So there really is no relationship other than you're managing it within the same platform.
Here's an interesting one. Is Facebook or Pinterest going to be rolling out product listing ads soon? That's a great question, and we're keeping an eye on them. GoDataFeed can currently support a Pinterest feed. Facebook is yet to release that, but as soon as they do, rest assured we'll be there.
I'm sure they will.
Yep.
Here's a quick one. How do you determine the goal or ROI for your clients? you need to know what your margins are. It's a good starting point. So if you know you're working on 20, 30% margins, you can work it backwards. There's different formulas for it, but cost divided by spend. Spend divided by revenue is obviously a real quick and down and dirty way to figure out a quick ROI or goal. But if you know your margins, if you're working on 20% margins, you may have 5 ROI, which is basically you need 5 times to get to your desired goal. Question just came in: will we be recording this? And this will be is being recorded and will be available to all registrants probably in the next week.
Yes, and there'll also be a slide deck available,
as well as the slide deck.
And just to let you know, anybody that does have questions or issues with their feeds and wants to speak to us, our contact details are there. Give us a call. Our account success team here are absolutely passionate about Google and feeds in general. They'll be able to help you out. And Greg, there's his contact details. Greg's highly knowledgeable in all online marketing.
Yeah, if you have a question, we'll look at your feed, tell you what's wrong, how we can improve it. There hasn't been a feed that we haven't been able to work with. And 90% of the time, if you're sending a feed and have success, we can make it more successful.
Okay, let's do one more. Is Google enforcing the larger image sizes?
Yes, no, maybe so. They will be. When Google makes any sort of announcement, they will enforce it. The question is how long until they'll enforce it. I wouldn't be surprised within the next 6 months that it's enforced. It's been out for at least a year, I think, the 800 by 800 requirement. So I'm going to say if you're adding any new inventory, any products, make sure that you're at least at 800 by 800, and I'll even recommend go 1,000 by 1,000 because those are Amazon requirements, and this way you don't have to deal with multiple images for multiple channels. So if you can set all of them to at least 1,000 by 1,000, you'll cover specs for every engine. Good question.
Okay, there we have it. Okay, thank you all for joining us. As mentioned, there will be, the slide deck will be available next week as well as a recording. And if you have any follow-up questions, please reach out to us. And we will be responding to all those questions that we did answer individually to those attendees.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Karen.